Have you ever witnessed a wedding procession so extraordinary that even the gods stood stunned in silence? On one side, a golden palace glowing with conch shells and divine blessings, and on the other, ashes of the cremation ground, ghosts, spirits, and the fierce dance of aghoris. Why did the radiant palace suddenly sink into an eerie silence? When Mahadev himself arrived as the groom, why did a beautiful dream of a mother turned into a shadow of fear? Was this merely a wedding or the moment where truth collided with attachment, where a mother's cherished dream was about to shatter before Mahadev's divine play, his divine Leela? Welcome to KathaVani, the sacred saga. My name is Sudesh Shukla, and today we unveil the mystery of Shiva's most unusual wedding procession. High among the towering snow-clad peaks of Himalayas stood the magnificent golden palace of King Himachal. Today, it shimmered so brilliantly with thousands of glowing lamps that it seemed to outshine the sun itself. The fragrance of fresh flowers and sandalwood incense filled the air, and at the grand entrance, celestial Gandharvas sang melodious hymns of celebration. In the eyes of King Himachal and Queen Maina sparkled a rare and sacred joy, because their beloved daughter Parvati was to be wed to none other than Mahadev himself. Queen Maina, adorned in regal attire, hurried anxiously from one corridor to another. Soft chime of her anklets echoed her excitement. She personally inspected every decoration, ensuring perfection in even the smallest detail. Why is that golden kalash placed in the corner? She scolded a servant. Bring it to the main entrance. There must be no flaw in welcoming the gods. This is no ordinary celebration. This is the sacred offering of the Mother of the Universe itself. King Himachal stood calmly, smiling gently, yet behind his steady gaze lay the quiet concern of a father. He stepped closer to the queen and said, "My dear," he said softly, "do not be so restless. Lord Shankar himself is arriving. Any task undertaken by Mahadev or for Mahadev is destined to be fulfilled perfectly." Fulfilled? Queen Maina replied proudly, "My king, just look outside. Devraj Indra has arrived, riding his mighty Aravat. Indradev himself has brought his cool moonlight, his Chandni bless the Mandap. Lord Vishnu has come to witness this sacred union. When Devarishi Narad will play his veena and Mahadev's divine and majestic procession arrives at our gates, what a celestial moment it will be when my Princess Gauri places the garland around her prince's neck." At that very moment, Princess Parvati entered the grand hall, but there was no nervousness on her face. There was no bridal anxiety. Instead, a deep, mysterious serenity radiated from Ma Parvati. "Mother," Parvati spoke gently, "Lord Shiva's form is his divine illusion. Though formless, he exists in every form. He must be welcomed not with the gold and silver splendor, but with purity of heart and love." Queen Maina smiled affectionately. "My innocent child, you do not understand the ways of the world. A wedding is a grand festival. I have even invited the Ashwani Kumaras so their radiant chariots may turn this courtyard into heaven itself." Ma Parvati was looking a little worried. She was anxious that Lord Shiva, Mahadev, may not play his Leela today. And then suddenly the wind changed. The pleasant fragrance vanished, replaced by a strange scent like ashes from a cremation ground. The birds stopped chirping and fluttered restlessly across the sky. From the distant mountains came a rumble as though a massive peak were cracking apart. The drums and shehnais faded into an eerie silence. King Himachal stiffened. What is this sound? It does not resemble the divine drums of the heavens. Just then, the chief royal guard came running into the palace in utter panic. His body trembled. His face had turned pale with fear. Maharaj, Maharani, he gasped. They have arrived. The procession is right at the gates. They have come? Queen Maina exclaimed joyfully. Did I not say so? Tell me, guard, how magnificent is the divine procession? How many golden chariots, radiant gods are walking beside him? But the guard's eyes turned lifeless, as if it was made of stone. With a trembling hand, he pointed towards the palace gates. Maharani, there are no divine chariots. I see no gods. Instead, ghosts and spirits are dancing. A horde of aghoris is approaching. For a single moment, a deathly silence fell over the entire palace. Queen Maina's smiling eyes froze, and then, cutting through the silence, came a terrifying echo. The resounding beat of Mahadev's damru shook the very walls of the palace. The dreadful laughter of spirits reverberated through the air. It felt as though the cremation ground itself had walked to the gates of King Himachal's palace. In a barely audible whisper, Queen Maina spoke. What? What did you say? Before her eyes, the divine dream she had nurtured shattered into pieces, replaced by a vision no human had ever imagined. What will happen when Queen Maina comes face to face with Mahadev's Aghori form? Will this sacred wedding take place? Find out in the next chapter of KathaVaani, the sacred saga, when Mahadev's Barat will finally arrive before Queen Maina and King Himachal. Will the drums stop? The crowds going to scream? Is the palace going to tremble? When Nandi will arrive, when the Aghoris will dance, and Mahadev will reveal his true form. The murmuring crowd that had gathered to witness the procession suddenly began to fall silent. A heavy stillness spread everywhere, such a deep silence that only the sound of the wind moving through the air could be heard. But what was that? The excitement suddenly began turning into a cold fear. People started clutching each other's hands. Then a trembling voice rose from the crowd. Look, what is that rising behind the mountains? Like flames of fire. Soon strange sounds began approaching from a distance. The roars of bizarre animals, the clanging of heavy iron bells, and thousands of voices chanting in unison. Bam bam bhole, bam bam bhole, har har Mahadev. A massive cloud of smoke and dust advanced towards the palace, and piercing through that haze, the first to appear was a gigantic white bull, Nandi. His horns shone like gold, but today Nandi did not appear in his welcoming form. With his powerful jaws, he had torn off a portion of the palace grand wooden gate, which now hung from his mouth. Seeing this sight, King Himwan's eyes widened. This is Nandi, Lord Shiva's Vahana. But why has he destroyed our palace gate? Queen Maina forced a nervous laughter, as though she did not wish to accept the truth her eyes were witnessing. He is only an animal. Perhaps he is hungry after a long journey. Forget this. Let us look at the groom. But as the procession fully revealed itself, every person felt their breath catch in their throat. This was no ordinary wedding procession. It was a living vision of a cremation ground. Terrifying sounds echoed everywhere, the clattering of bones, harsh laughter, and the thunder of the damru. One by one, strange figures began to appear. At the front was a tall skeletal being whose entire body was smeared with the fresh ashes of funeral pyres. Around his neck hung a garland of real skulls, and he danced madly while drinking from a skull bowl. Then another horrifying sight appeared. A bat-like child creature, half naked, swinging a massive mace through the air, laughing wildly. He knocked down the palace's tall flags as if they were made of paper, and among them floated a woman whose long hair waved like serpents. She playfully detached her own head from her body and tossed it into the air like a ball. Seeing this, screams erupted from the crowd. Run, run, these are demons, they will kill us. Chaos broke open in the palace courtyard. Brave soldiers dropped their swords. Queen Maina's face, which moments earlier had shone with pride, now turned pale as turmeric. In a trembling whisper, she said, Rajan, what is this? Is this truly the groom who has come for my delicate Gauri? Will this terrifying horde become part of my daughter's life? Suddenly, everything fell silent. A deep, resonant, divine voice echoed, Nandi, be calm. Bhairav, stop playing with those flags. What was that voice? It felt as though the universe itself had spoken. All the ghosts, spirits, and aghoris instantly stood like disciplined soldiers. A path opened through the crowd, and then appeared the Lord of Three Worlds, Mahadev. At that moment, a slow yet powerful vibration of Om began resonating in the air. At the doorway stood Parvati, listening to her mother's anguish. With composed steps, she entered the chamber. The mere sounds of her footsteps began calming the atmosphere. Parvati said firmly, Mother, calm the anger in your heart. The one you see as an impure ascetic is the father of all creations, of everything animate and inanimate. With tear-filled eyes, Maina replied, Gauri, you too take his side. Do you not see his nature? He'll lose you somewhere in the wilderness of his matted locks. He will reduce you to ashes, my child. Holding her mother's hand, Parvati said, Mother, you see only the outer covering, not the essence. The serpents that appear deadly to you are Shiva's ornaments, the symbol of mastery over time. The ash upon his body is not the mark of death, but the message of the destruction of worldly attachments. And these followers who seem frightening to you are devoted to him just as deeply as you are devoted to me. Just then, the sweet divine note of a veena echoed through the chamber, along with a gentle chant of Narayan, Narayan. A golden radiance filled the hall. At that moment, Devarishi Narad appeared, smiling and holding his veena. Narad said, Mother, your concern is justified from a mother's perspective, but would you take your daughter away from her destiny? And as for this appearance, behold this. King Himachal also spoke softly, My dear, form is but an illusion. All sages and gods sing of Mahadev's glory. Narad Muni then played a special melody upon his veena. Before Queen Maina's eyes appeared a divine vision, an infinite pillar of light with neither any beginning nor any end. That radiant light was formless, infinite, yet the entire universe existed within it. Rani Maina stood astonished. Narad Muni said, Maharani, Mahadev's true form is his formless, attributeless light. The form he has assumed outside is merely his grace, because we humans understand only shape and form. Now the decision rests with you. The divine light slowly faded away, and along with it, the sound of Maina's sobbing. Silence once again filled the chamber. Queen Maina looked into Parvati's calm eyes and then towards King Himachal. The tears in her eyes had changed. Resistance had been replaced by devotion. With a choked voice, Maina said, "My daughter, your heart itself is a true teacher. Forgive me. I saw, but I did not understand. King Himwan, complete the preparations for the wedding. I myself will go and welcome my son-in-law and his extraordinary companions." The sounds of auspicious music, conch shells, and damru rose together in the palace courtyard. The atmosphere had changed. Instead of frightened crowds, there were now curious citizens. The ghosts and spirits, the Shiva's ganas, were no longer unruly but seated with a strange discipline. Nandi stood calm. Now there was no frightening sounds, only sacred music and chants of Har Har Mahadev. Queen Maina, along with King Himwan, entered the courtyard with firm steps. Her head was held high, yet her eyes were fixed forward as though she were about to perform a courageous act. They moved towards the mandap where Lord Shiva was sitting. In the mandap, Lord Shiva remained in the same form, matted locks, serpents around his neck, trident in hand. But now a gentle and compassionate smile rested upon his face. Queen Maina approached hesitantly. "Lord Mahadev, I welcome you." Queen Maina, she could not continue. Then Shiva's deep and calm voice spoke. "Maina, a mother's love is all-knowing. Your concern was for your daughter's welfare. There is no fault in that." Maina looked up in surprise. There was no anger in Shiva's eyes, only infinite understanding. Shiva continued, "Queen Maina, as Parvati's mother, you are like a mother to me as well. You fulfilled your duty as a mother. Now accept your place as a mother-in-law. And remember, the form for which your daughter performed penance is not limited one appearance. I possess countless forms. My devotees perceive me in whatever form they remember me." Shiva slowly closed his eyes. A gentle white radiance began emanating from his body. Soft bell rang, and the sacred vibration of Om filled the air. Within that light, Shiva's form began to transform. In an instant, the ash became sandalwood paste. The garland of skulls turned into radiant jewels, and cool moonlight flowed from his matted locks. This was Mahadev's divine form of Sundareshwara, so enchanting that even Kamadeva would feel humbled. The entire mandap filled with light. Everyone stood stunned. Maina's eyes filled again with tears, but this time with wonder and joy. Softly she whispered, What beauty! What radiance!" King Himwan said emotionally, "This is his infinite divine play, my dear. Mahadev appears as he wills." Shiva, in his radiant form, said, "O mother, this form is as true as the other. Are you at peace now?" Queen Maina bowed deeply, completely surrendered to Mahadev. "Lord, I was blind. By your grace I can see now. Please grant Himwan and me the honor of performing the Kanyadan. Accept my daughter Parvati as your wife. Let there be no delay in this sacred marriage." Then looking towards Nandi, Bhairav and other ganas of Shiva, he said, "Why are you so all quiet? Today the Lord of three worlds is being wed to Parvati. Make such joyous noise that it echoes, fills the entire universe." Hearing this, Himwan and Parvati smiled. Parvati, adorned in divine attire, entered the mandap. She and Lord Shiva looked at each other. Within that single glance lived the love and devotion of countless lifetimes. The chanting of Vedic mantras began. Queen Maina and King Himwan performed the sacred Kanyadan. Shiva and Parvati's hands were united. All the ganas, ghosts, spirits, and aghoris now rejoiced in celebration, but this time their dance carried devotion rather than the terror. Nandi rode joyfully. Shiva and Parvati sat together in a divine union. On one side, their ganas danced, on the other, gods and sages offered blessings. Queen Maina and King Himachal watched with happiness, and thus was completed the marriage of Lord Shiva and Parvati, the union of tradition and transcendence, of form and formlessness, of attachment and wisdom. This Katha teaches us that divinity is always greater than our limited understanding. Welcome Mahadev, welcome Lord Shiva to our hearts, the one who appears fearsome so that ego may break, and who appears beautiful so that our hearts may fill with love. He is Bholenath. He is Mahadev, the one who is both Aghori and Sundaramurti. Glory to Lord Mahadev, and heartfelt blessings to all on the sacred wedding of Shiva and Mata Parvati. Stay connected with KathaVaani, the sacred saga. Subscribe and let this light reach every corner of the world. Jai Ma Durga.
KathaVaani, दुर्लभ कथाएं, अनंत विस्मय।